You are awakened by the sound of church bells. They do not ring just once. They ring again and again, one toll after another. You rub your eyes and look around. Stone-paved streets, wooden houses, a horse-drawn cart slowly rolling through the morning fog. Everything seems peaceful. And that is when you realize you have just awakened in Europe in the year 1348, at the exact moment when the Black Death is sweeping across the continent. A pandemic that will eventually wipe out nearly 1/3 of Europe's population. From this moment on, you have only one objective: survive.
The first thing you notice is the silence. The city is far too quiet. The bakery is closed. The blacksmith's workshop is closed too. A horse-drawn cart slowly passes in front of you. It is filled with bodies covered in cloth. No one seems surprised. Apparently, this has become part of everyday life. A man walks past you and quietly says, "Do not stay outside for too long." Then he quickly disappears down the street. You know something that none of these people understand. The plague is not a curse. It is not the wrath of God. The real cause is a deadly bacterium carried by fleas that live on rats. But at this point in history, no one knows that.
So your first question is, do you stay or do you leave the city? Your first reaction might be, I need to get out of here immediately. Congratulations, you are thinking exactly like almost everyone else. Entire families pack their belongings, load everything onto carts, and abandon their homes, hoping they can leave the disease behind. It sounds reasonable. But there is one major problem. You may already be infected, even if you do not have symptoms yet. And if you leave, you could carry the disease into towns that are still safe. In other words, you are not escaping the pandemic, you are helping it travel across Europe. But what if you stay? Your chances are not much better. Food supplies begin to run low. Eventually, you still have to leave your home. You need water, you need food. You may need to trade for basic supplies. Every time you open your door, you are taking another gamble. A few days later, you wake up shivering. Your head is pounding. Your entire body feels weak and exhausted. You tell yourself, it is probably just a cold. But by the afternoon, you feel a painful lump under your arm. Then you find another near your groin. Today, we call these swollen lymph nodes, buboes. They are among the most recognizable symptoms of the Black Death. People in the 14th century do not know why they appear. They only know one thing. Once these painful swellings begin to form, your chances of survival start to fall.
You decide to visit a physician. He examines the swellings on your body. He checks your pulse. Then he slowly shakes his head. Not because he knows how to cure you, but because he does not truly understand what is killing everyone. Many physicians believe that disease comes from polluted air. They call it miasma. So they burn strong-smelling herbs and tell patients to breathe in the smoke. Some people carry small bags filled with dried flowers and spices, hoping the pleasant smell will protect them from the foul air. Other physicians practice bloodletting. They believe removing bad blood will restore balance to the body. According to the medical knowledge of the time, this makes perfect sense. Unfortunately, the real cause is a bacterium that humanity has not yet discovered. These treatments can do almost nothing to stop the disease, and for a body that is already dangerously weak, losing more blood can make things even worse. The physician still tries to save you. He does everything he believes is right, but belief is not always enough to defeat a disease. You step outside the room. The church bells begin to ring again. Since the moment you woke up, you have heard them many times. In many European towns, church bells often announced a funeral or called people to pray for someone who had just died. As the plague spread, the sound seemed to never stop. But then you begin to understand something. The disease itself is not the only terrifying part. There is also the fear it creates. People avoid leaving their homes. Doors remain locked. Everyone becomes suspicious of everyone else. A single cough or one sudden sneeze can make an entire street move away from you. Some families stay with their sick relatives until the very end, but others choose to leave, not because they do not care, but because they are terrified that they will be next. The plague does not only take lives, it also tests the courage of everyone who remains alive.
Several weeks pass, and somehow you are still here. The fever is gone. The painful swellings begin to shrink. It appears you have survived. But do not assume that you have discovered some secret. There is no reliable method that guarantees survival. There is no miracle medicine, and there is no physician who truly knows how to cure the disease. The only thing on your side may have been luck, or perhaps your body was simply strong enough to fight the infection. Meanwhile, the plague continues to spread across Europe. Millions of people are not as fortunate as you. Some villages almost completely disappear. Fields are abandoned. There are no longer enough workers to harvest crops or maintain the land. And because labor becomes so scarce, the people who survive begin to find more opportunities. Some workers are able to demand higher wages. A medical catastrophe accidentally begins to transform European society. Eventually, the worst waves of the plague begin to fade, but the price is tens of millions of lives. Historians estimate that between 30 to 50% of Europe's population died. Today, if you develop a fever, you can go to a hospital. You have doctors, you have medical tests, you have antibiotics, and you have centuries of medical knowledge behind you. But if the same thing happened in 1348, everything would be different. No one knew bacteria existed. No one understood how the disease was spreading. No one knew why a healthy person could feel perfectly normal one day and be dead only a few days later. The only thing people could do was try to survive for one more day and hope that they would not be next. That was the reality for millions of people across Europe during the age of the Black